This is iFanboy Pick of the Week 940, brought to you by iFanboy listeners just like you. Hello, my name is Connor Kilpatrick, and this is my co-host, Josh Flanagan.
Hello. It feels like it's been a long time, but I know it hasn't.
It's the heat. Slowly killing us.
Cool. You know what? It was 58 this morning, and I tried to wear like a sweatshirt and jeans. I was like, it's not this cold, Josh. I was like, but I love it.
It's still, it's basically still July. Can't be wearing sweatshirts.
Yeah, I know. It's August, actually.
But that's basically July. In my head. This is iFanboy Pick of the Week episode 940, and every one of us picks their favorite book from the stack of comics they read. We call that book the Pick of the Week. Talk about that book, other books of the week, the Patron Pick listener mail. It'll be fun. And it's your spoiler warning. Exercise some caution. And Josh, this was a short week. This was a small week. We still have a lot of books to talk about this week.
Ish. Like 15. I've noticed a real, the majority of my books now tend to not be Marvel and DC. I've noticed when I put my sort of lists together, not that I've like cut things out. I don't know what it means yet. I think that I'm siloing the things.
Phases
yeah, I
happen.
guess. But I have noticed that a lot. So the bulk of my books are sort of, I've read them before the Marvel stuff comes out on Wednesday. And it was not a week where I had an easy time picking. It was a week in which I was like, I don't really remember what I read. Whereas last week I was like, this is great. I'm going for it. Wasn't bad. It was fine.
Right.
Which is what I say sometimes before Pick of the Week, which is bad for the Pick of the Week. But when I sort of got down to it, I chose Red Before Black, which sounds like I'm making a bet. The comic book Red Before Black from Boom Studios, written by Stephanie Phillips, art by Goran Sudzuka, colors by, I'm going to mess that one up, Yves Forcina, or Sforcina probably, and letters by Tom Napolitano, a name that I feel like I haven't seen in a while. But I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
So the thing here is I'm a Stephanie Phillips fan, largely because of especially like her non Marvel DC work, because I kind of never know what I'm going to get. And I don't remember the name of that first series, but it was the French detective during World War II.
Right.
Which is like, what is this? You know, and I don't mean to stereotype, but you usually don't see books like that written by people named Stephanie. It's just not a thing that happens. So.
Yeah, or just in general lately. I mean, it felt
true.
like for a couple of years she was writing books just for you and me. Like,
yeah, I know.
All kinds of genre fiction that was outside the superhero world.
And so, when there's a great pirate ship. It was like all sorts of cool pirate book, whatever.
There was a pirate ship in the book.
So I see that she's got a new book. I'm going to read it automatically. I didn't really know what it was about. But what we have here is sort of a crime thriller. A lady comes home after being gone for a long time. She was in prison, and she's like, I want to get back into the business. And her friend who runs the bar is like, nah, I don't know what you're talking about. And she pushes a little bit. And then finally he's like, all right, my partner's not going to believe you, so you got to do something big. And so he sends her to kill someone. And you're like, wow, this woman is a cold-blooded hit person. And then you spend a little time... Hit woman? Hit person? I don't know. I didn't do that on purpose, but I'm going to go with hit person. I like it. I like hit person. I don't feel like anyone's used that, and it's sort of polite and scary at the same time. And the target is this other woman who stole a bunch of drugs and is kind of a Harley Quinn type. Sort of the vibe that she's got going on there.
Yeah.
And then a bunch of stuff happens where basically what we see is not what we thought. And sort of a weird friendship starts up. And there was a point where there's a part in the middle I'm going to almost ignore, but I will bring it up. There was a point where I was like, oh, this is the turn. This is like a thing. And I mean relationship wise, I don't know if it's supernatural.
I don't think so. I think it was more of a representation of her sort of trauma from the war. She sort of blacks out, and that was just sort of the visual. That's what I thought, the visual way of showing it.
I hope, because if this was DC, she would have been brought in by the Red. That's what was happening.
Right.
But she had kind of a flashbacky moment. The Red Before Black has to do with poisonous snakes. There's the king snake and the coral snake, I think. and that's sort of the first page is kind of about that one of them is poisonous and one of them is not. And so it's called Red Before Black. I thought the title was going to be a Checkers thing, but this is better. I think she just does genre fiction in comics really, really well. Goran Shidzaka is a veteran, has been around. It's not like the most amazing artist, but can do the job,
terrific,
especially.
Though.
Yeah, no, and especially in a book that has no superheroes or whatever, no costumes, but I can tell everybody apart. Like the I don't know the girl, Leo, I think is her name. She's got a unique haircut, so we can tell who she is. We know who, we know who everybody is. We're looking at, and my main thing here was I was looking forward to reading it. And then I was, sort of maybe halfway through it, and I was like, I really like this. And so it was the nice surprise, because so often that, non-Marvel DC book from people is very hit or miss. And I was like, oh, it's a crime story. Mm-hmm. And there's not really a hook to it other than whatever that weird flashbacky thing is. But, whatever. It's comics. This happens. And so when I sort of compared it to everything else, it was the thing that delighted me, I think, the most, because of it being unexpected and me being like, oh, I want to read the next thing. A lot of like the Ed Brisson stuff that he's been doing lately. You read his new first issues and you're like, well, this is great. It was in that realm, I think. There's other books I liked, but this made me happy, and I'm perfectly prepared for you to be like, I hated it.
No, this is good. I think nothing in here is totally original, which is not a problem, because most things we read aren't totally original. There's a lot of tropes here. It's the soldier returning from war who wants to get into crime. It's the woman she makes friends with the person she's supposed to kill, and then there's a twist that she's actually working for the FBI. Like all of the stuff I've seen before in other crime comics or crime stories, but the execution is very good.
Yeah.
And the art's terrific. I mean, you don't normally get an artist of Suzuka's talent on these kind of books.
I have noticed that a lot of really skilled veterans are showing up in these books, from Boom and IDW and
Well, there isn't really a place for him anymore, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
In the past, he would have done a Vertigo book, or he did do Vertigo books, or things like that. They just don't get made. I mean, his style is very much it's very much a Big Two style.
He's great with humans, though.
They don't do that anymore in the books, but it's
right.
Big Two style.
He came up. We know him from, he was the alternate on Y the Last Man,
right?
And again, that is a book that is just humans. There was no superpowers, not really explosions. There's chases, but they're foot chases or whatever. And, that's a skill that we don't talk about a lot in comics. Mm-hmm. Like, we know the people who can do Todd McFarlane, or we can do, whatever. But sort of like being able to draw people, Michael Lark, Well,
this is the Steve Dillon school.
Yes. Yeah.
This is, if you make a family tree of artists who beget other artists who influence other artists, this, he's in that family tree. Yeah. And it's terrific.
Yeah.
So I think this is super fun. Like I said, it wasn't, I was like, okay, she's undercover. Okay, so she's going to, feel bad about the target and become friends with her instead of kill her. Like, these are all things I've seen, but it was done in a really appealing package.
Yeah. I think that's a correct assessment of things. And when I sort of compared that.
Boom, by the way, Boom, like another, like Boom has been on this mini run we've been talking about with books like Uncanny Valley and another one we're reading. I can't think of others. But no, that book we read, that the one, the Ed Brisson book we just talked about.
Yeah.
And what's the name? I can't remember, but
the disappearing towns in Canada.
Anyway, there's like 4 or 5 Boom books we've been reading the last couple of months that we hadn't been reading any previously. So they're on a nice little run here and doing interesting things.
Yep.
Who knows how long that'll last with new ownership, but
I think that for a long time, your Booms and your IDWs, they were justifiably chasing movies. Or TV shows or something like that. And this could very well be that or whatever, but it is in essence a comic book.
Yeah, and that's Boom's always done that. I mean Boom's business model is make a lot of comics money on YA comics, and then they make a good amount of money on TV adaptations. I mean, it's not a secret.
Yeah.
They make a lot of money on Berserker. But they still make comics though.
Right. And this could be that, but it's a well-made comic book, and I respect that. So we're going to talk about other books I liked, but a lot of them are like, yeah, that's good. That's what I would have expected from eating at that restaurant.
No, I thought, I'd seen this on the list. I hadn't read it yet, but you messaged me and said, don't sleep on Red Before Black.
Yeah.
And this is before you made the pick of the week. And I read it. So that was terrific. This is a terrific crime book. And, we are always, you and I are always up for reading a good crime book.
Yep. Excited for the next issue, was totally compelled. It's if you wasn't on your radar and that sounds good, it's a great thing to pick up from a totally proven group of creators too.
So Public Domain number 7 from Chip Zdarsky and Rachel Stott. I think there's a bit of an irony in this when I finished it, and I had a ton of complaints that all had to do with editorial when this issue was all about the editor.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a fine issue. I liked the story. I liked the scene with Grant Morrison. I liked the scene
Greg
where
Capullo.
Stan Lee and with Greg Capullo and Stan Lee and Jack Kirby hung out again. I liked all of that. But there were some of the things I just couldn't believe. And this book has an editor, and I'm not knocking this editor. Editing is hard. And I am by no means an expert. I've edited 2 single issues and 1 graphic novel and overseen some other ones.
Talked about thousands of comic books.
Right, but I'm not saying I'm the expert on editing, but I have some insight into it. I have done a little bit. So first thing that bugged me was he has a writer's tick that went into overdrive in this issue where at least 10 times a character says I ... and another word.
Interesting.
Like if you look on...
I wish you'd never pointed that out.
Page 4, panel 1, I... What? And then if you look down at the bottom, I don't know what panel number that is because there's a lot of panels. The other character, I... Hey! And then if you turn the page, I... David. And then if you turn the page again, I... What? It happens like 10 times in the issue.
Yeah.
And if you take out the I and ellipses, it almost always makes the dialogue better. It happens again at the coffee shop when she picks up her coffee. I ... sorry. And then somewhere else. Like it just happens over and over. And an editor should have caught that and been like, we're using this way too much. Got to cut half of these.
I'm very impressed. I mean, I didn't see it, but like then the comment about take it out and it's better. It's like, and I was like, oh, that's brilliant. And that's what that's exactly what an editor should do.
My other editorial problem is if you look later in the issue, like just jump to page 13, the owner of the studio, the rich guy who's funding the comic shows up, and he and Jack Kirby and the writer are all wearing the shades of the same pink, which is strange. That should have just been, and this was a reason why they're all wearing pink.
Yeah, and but look at the two of them. The other two are in yellow.
It's very strange.
On the page before.
Yeah, the coloring is odd.
And Chip does all. He does right down to the letters.
And then the other thing is this: jump to page 18. This is the same complaint. I can see him wearing
on purpose.
I can see him wearing a pink polo. I can never in a million years see this guy wearing a bright pink jacket. It's just not his character would never wear this jacket. Never own this jacket.
And I want to go ahead and point out, like, Jack Kirby and Stan Lee are the archetypes we're talking about. This character's nothing like Jack Kirby. Connor knows that. He's just saying.
Even this guy, because I don't know his name, but even this guy's never in a million years owning that jacket. It's just, and it's just weird that it's also pink. And pink's a great color. I own many clothes in pink, but
pink on pink.
Pink on pink is a lot. And then
are those the colors of the superhero?
I don't know.
Like that sort of pinkish purple.
Anyway, those things bugged me, but the issue was good. I thought the issue was really good.
There were things I really I thought that it was disappointing, but that's why it worked, was that when the artist and the writer get together in the bar and like, we should work together again. You're like, oh, this is romantic. And then instantly some dumb shit happens. You're an asshole. And and like, you're like, because this is fiction and you want to feel good or that you think they're going to, it just keeps getting worse. I was like, well, maybe they'll. Nope. No, that's definitely not gonna. That's set us
and
back
look,
some time.
Stan Lee's wearing pink as well.
That's got to be on purpose.
It's just bizarre. Like, what is the purpose? It's not entirely clear. That everyone in the book is wearing pink except for the editor and the artist.
But they're in yellow.
I love the idea of Grant Morrison having a fake rain thing outside his window, and he wants to have a moody situation.
That was brilliant.
I love that. I kind of wanted to do it. I was like, oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, that was brilliant. It's just like I'm sure it's a movie trick or whatever, but having him be a person who would have that.
And then the last thing, which has nothing to do with this book, it is what it is. I found myself thinking, man, all this angst over a comic that they already made that's not that great.
I mean,
kind of average.
That's the trick. Is that whenever something is about whenever there's a story about making a story that's supposed to be very good, you're in trouble. Because then, it's like...
that's why you shouldn't do it. That's why Studio 60 should never have actually shown the skits. That was a long time ago. It's been stuck with me this entire time.
It's a good point, but it's also something that's actually really brilliant about Almost Famous, is that the band wasn't that good.
They weren't bad, though.
No, but they're a mid-level band struggling to come to terms... They're right, but that you can do that with that was the worst thing I've ever heard.
I keep going.
They're mid-level bands struggling to come to terms with their mediocrity in the harsh face of stardom. No, with their limitations in the harsh face of stardom.
Yes.
Like, you could go, it's pretty good, but it's not like you got that album and listened to it later. Man, on its own, this is great. Like a breakout from the thing. But they did that on purpose, and I think it's smart, because the real band in that movie is supposed to be Led Zeppelin, and you can't do a fictional band that sounds better than... Well, I mean,
that was who he was traveling with.
It's a group of all of them, I think. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, he did that with a bunch of bands. So, but any of those bands that he was with, were legendary bands, and you can't come up with a fictional band that's going to sound better than that with actors.
Weren't we talking about a comic last week that was also about comics?
I think so. Yeah, we were talking about Drawing Blood. And the thing about one I thought was that it was from the perspective of the other side, and Kevin Eastman's very unique and exalted position.
I feel like the problem is we are the not the problem. It just is that we are the target audience for these comics about comics, and so I can't complain about it. Go to page 24, and you'll see the logo of the book is pink and yellow.
Well, there you go. The costumes are...
the domain colors are pink and yellow. It's still too much, because those colors are so powerful. It's not like he's using blue, and pink is very powerful.
It's a choice.
And so having everyone dressed in pink just makes everything stand out, and makes you wonder, why is everybody wearing pink? Because people don't wear pink a lot. Anyway,
it's a choice. I don't necessarily hate it. I kind of wish I understood it. Because without understanding,
those are the colors of the book.
I guess, but what's the point? Like, what are you trying to say there?
Well, the real question is why. So the editor and the artist are in yellow, but the dialogue writer, which was established this issue, the sun is in blue. So what does that mean?
So the yellow people, no.
It's all a mess. It's all a mess.
I considered this for pick of the week for just a second, though, just because I really like it as a book. And then I was like, it wasn't that great of an issue, but I enjoyed it. And I look forward. I saw it came out, because I kind of thought maybe they're not going to do this. And they have the other one. I'm not sure about continuing to read the other one. Yeah, no, it is. But I enjoyed it. But it's got faults. But I also, it's clearly like that work of love. I kind of want to see what this guy's going to do. And Zdarsky is multifaceted as a creator. Yeah. I mean, he does all of it in different styles, and it's interesting to watch.
So you've been reading up to now the number one issues from X-Men. Did you read Uncanny X-Men number 1?
I didn't.
Or 701.
I meant to, and then I had it, but I didn't put it on my list, and so it didn't get read. But I wasn't pumped about it. I was like, I guess I'll read that because I should. So this is your point. This is where I find out if I got it wrong or right.
Oh, I mean, it's a mixed bag. So it's Gail Simone and Dave Marquez, Matthew Wilson, Clayton Cowles, great team.
Yeah.
I didn't love it. I enjoyed it enough. The problem is, so it bounces around time a little bit. We go back to Orcus, and we see them taking over the mansion, and they're going to burn it. They're going to turn it into a jail. They're going to burn everything out. They're going to burn everything else. They're going to dismantle Cerebro, et cetera, et cetera. And then in the present day, we see sort of the formation of, at least right now, this group of X-Men, and it's Wolverine, Rogue, Gambit, and who's the fourth one? Is it just them? I can't remember. But the issue is mostly Wolverine, Rogue, and Gambit. And the problem is I hate Gambit. Oh, Nightcrawler is the fourth one. Gambit's insufferable. I can't stand him. I didn't like him as a teenager reading Jim Lee comics. I don't like him now.
I don't get him. I don't get the appeal. And I don't mean that in the way of saying like, oh, he's so stupid. I don't know why you all like him. I just literally don't understand it.
I don't know. And the other thing is that, and this is just a me thing, but Rogue's white stripe used to go down the middle of her head. Now it's just her bangs, which is, slightly weirder, but whatever. I don't care. The art was terrific. I liked the story. They there's these, even though Orcus has been taken care of, there's still these mutants that are being hunted by people, and they're more mutated. There's one woman that's like half deer. She looks a lot like Sweet Tooth, and they, that's sort of the subplot going on here. But
boy, if you're into like old school X-Men costumes, he's giving it all to you here. That's a great Wolverine, and then like I don't like Gambit's costume in that, I don't know, it screams the era in which it was created, right. And it looks exactly like it did. And I didn't think it looked.
You got to respect it. It hasn't changed.
I think that if you like Gambit, you're getting what you want and you're happy, totally. And I can't complain about that. Yep. But is it Nightcrawler in a lovely European jacket and turtleneck sweater combo? No, that's how you do it. David Marquez has evolved, and I really like what he's doing here.
Yeah, it's a great looking book. It's a great looking book. I mean, that's probably why I keep reading the next issue. I do want to. I don't know if this is the full lineup. I just don't. We don't know those things. We don't pay attention to the news anymore. But I'm curious about this team. I really, really liked X-Men a lot. X-Men #1 that Jed McKay did. That was like sort of a X-Men art up my alley. Mm-hmm. We'll see. They try to invite Kitty Pryde. She says fuck off. I assume they're going to get some more people on the team, but I'm still into it, even though I didn't love it and I hate Gambit so much.
Gambit looks cool in his street clothes. I didn't even see him there because I was looking at Kurt's outfit.
It's a great outfit.
Look at those pants. I mean, he's just that's timeless style right there.
But the thing is, when you're thin like Nightcrawler, everything hangs well on you. Everything just looks good.
Yeah.
We got a friend like that, and I hate him for it.
It's true. I don't. I mean, I do have a friend. I don't.
I don't have a friend. It was a good issue. It just wasn't. I didn't love it for reasons that were sort of out of my control. Just my taste is I don't like Gambit. He's terrible.
It's really interesting that
positing him as the sort of central couple of the sexy X-Men couple in the center of this team. I was like, ugh.
He's a lot like Jack of Hearts in that way. I was like, did you all notice he looks dumb as shit?
They have the same hair.
Yeah. It's interesting that the colors in this are. I wouldn't have told you this was Matthew Wilson.
No, not at all.
It's very bold. It's very saturated compared to what he normally does.
Very bright. Like the dragon colors are very
a lot of pink and yellow. If I'm going to be honest with you,
what is going on?
Maybe like that kind of ink. It got cheaper. Like world
everything is pink and yellow.
Yeah.
Send out a memo. I don't think they do that anymore.
This is pink and yellow is the new. I got this.
So that happened in a bunch of comics this week. After that email, now I started seeing it again. It was sweet. They went to the children's hospital and they met the kid and he died and a lot of stuff was good. It was a good. I mean,
that part
I still think X-Men is still, in a good place. At least from the issues I've read. I haven't read NYX yet, just because I'm behind on the comics that was out when I was on vacation. But I'm enjoying them all so far to a certain extent. So that's fine. Did you read the Avengers?
I did. I did read Avengers.
Okay,
I'm still on it.
I quite like this issue. I thought this was, we were lamenting the loss of the temporary team that had 3 issues or so over the course of Blood Hunt that had Cap and Hercules and Kate Bishop, etc. Quicksilver, but I thought as an issue, this was actually fun. It was a mini recruitment. They don't do those issues anymore. Recruit the team issues, which I loved so much as a kid. But this is a mini one as they go to recruit Storm to join the team, and then the reasons why and the conversation with her and Sam were really good, I thought.
Storm is all yellow.
And then the cliffhanger / big problem I thought was actually compelling. I was like, oh shit.
I didn't know. I think I read whatever that last thing he was in. There was a little footnote about it. Was it
Heroes Reborn?
Heroes Reborn, which didn't take, but I guess it did because here it is. I like the motion of the problem. I like that he flew very far away, and then he's like, basically, he's going to fly at the Earth really fast, which is like when Bart Simpson said, I'm going to swing my arms this way and walk this way. If you get hit, it's your own problem. It's very like the oncoming train problem. And they've got to figure out what to do. I thought
his little video was compelling. He was like, my world is not this world, but I'm stuck here. So which one's real? Which one's fake? I don't know. I don't like it. I'm just going to destroy you.
Does he know that he could have just sent that to news outlets on a timer directly instead of...
I do want to get to that in a second, but I thought there was a line here that was really kind of chilling. It said basically, by the time you hear this, I'll be approaching the Earth at a significant portion of the speed of light on a collision course. When I impact, what is lie and what is truth will no longer be relevant. And I went, oh shit. Like I actually thought like that would actually be terrifying, right? It's like, I'm on a collision course with the planet, and I'm so powerful. I'm gonna destroy it, but it's already happening. That's actually really like fun ticking time bomb story. But the whole thing was
if you travel the speed of light, isn't that not far enough? All right, let's see. Pluto is 4.67 billion miles.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
What's the speed of light?
186,000 meters per second. Yeah.
Well, so he gives this little thumb drive to some random dude, says deliver it to the local news station at this time. And my first thought was, so that guy just plugged it into his computer? He says, all my virus protections are up to date. That's not even a thing.
You know what? Yes, it is. No, and when he plugged it in, I was like,
viruses are always ahead of the protection. So your protections might be up to date, but that doesn't mean you're...
That's fine. I was happy he mentioned it because I was like, you shouldn't plug a random USB into your computer.
I thought that they would... At first, I was like, why are they doing this at all? And I realized, they're a news organization. They have to... But they would do it if they were smart, they'd do it in an air-gapped computer so as not to lose their entire network.
All right, I have information for you.
Okay.
The galaxy is about 100,000 light years across.
Okay.
So, speed of light. So he won't be here for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how close Pluto is, but...
He's already coming.
Yeah, but we have time, which is what you said. I'm sure they did the math. Jed McKay's a smart writer.
I thought this was a fun issue. This might have been one of my favorite of this run, not counting the substitute team, because this felt... The vibe was similar to those comics. It felt more grounded. I really liked the scene with Storm and Sam, and I enjoyed this quite a bit. And I liked the big problem. So
I think the big problem is good. I tend to think of that as sort of just the last couple of pages, so it didn't stick with me for whatever reason. I think there was a little bit of like after the fight maudlin stuff. We didn't do enough. Yes, we did. I'm not sure. Did we? I don't love that. I thought it was well done, and I think
but that was short. And then Storm dismissed that pretty quick. She was like, "You're an idiot if you think you didn't do as much as you could." Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was good.
I wanted to touch on a couple of these smaller books I'm reading.
Mm-hmm.
Smaller is we don't talk about them a lot, and they're not. So I got Lester of the Lesser Gods, issue 3 of 3. It says it here on the cover, so I know it's 3 of 3. This is this dumb little story, by Eric Powell and Lucky Yates. Which sounds fake.
This is a dumb little story.
It is. It's like Flanagan. Totally lowbrow. What's happened is the apocalypse has happened, and our main character here is like a fat, slobby, sort of like nerd guy who has become like a barbarian in the sort of apocalypse, and he has a bad Prince Valiant haircut, and he's basically wearing like a little brief, and he rides around on a scooter. It's really dumb, and it's got a lot of coarse jokes in it. It feels very much like something from the 70s. And there was 3 issues, and it is not highbrow. But if you're familiar with Eric Powell's work, it's in that vein. And it was dumb and fun, and 3 issues was the right amount of it. Post-apocalyptic barbarian, dumb guy, gross old mother sex jokes as she's turned into a robot. There's peeing. I mean, like, it is not impressive if you're looking for high-end shit, but it was fun, and I like comics like this, and I want more of them.
Okay.
I don't want them all like this, but a few.
No.
It was a fun little guy. It was like an X-rated, not X-rated, but let's say R-rated Mad Magazine kind of story. At the same time, have we? I don't know. I can't remember if I talked about this in the other one, but one of the other shows. But Oni, for some reason, has the license to do EC comics, and they're bringing them back. And so this is, I think, the second of the releases with Cruel Universe #1. It's a little 4-story anthology issue in the vein.
Didn't you read? Wasn't there another one we talked about?
Well, Image was doing it with was it Tales from the Crypt, or was it? No, it was Creepshow.
Creepshow.
Same thing. This one is a little not monster based and then the one that came out last week, whenever Ryan was on the show, I honestly don't remember if we talked about it or not. I think we did. There's these EC comic style.
It's not on the rundown.
Little short story anthologies with like top tier talent or mid tier, like people doing little morality plays or the gag at the end. So this one, and this was like 2 for $4. So you've got Matt Kint and Kano. Kano is a name. I think Kano did Checkmate. I think he was the alternate Checkmate artist, and I don't know that I've seen him. Second story really from Karina Becco.
Not Corona Becco?
I don't know. What do you want? They can't read it. You didn't have to do that. There's a story by Chris Condon of That Texas Blood. And then the last one is by Ben Winters, who I don't know.
He's a good he's a novelist, TV writer. He's I read one book of his I really, really liked, and then he does some TV show I've seen. I don't remember what it was.
I love these kind of comics. The more I do. And covered by Greg Smallwood, another cover by J.H. Williams. Like, they're bringing the thunder to this as much as possible.
They're going for it.
Just like the first one's like it's a fun sci-fi story about like a gladiator planet, and there's a twist at the end. There's a dynasty. It's always like you've got 8 pages to do your thing and put a twist in. They're thoughtful.
It's a nice little
great format.
It's like not an experiment, but it's a muscle to try to strengthen. Is do an 8-page story, also, which a lot of comic creators don't never have to do.
It's an integral part of comic book issue history and style. Like, it is a thing that we lost because we got so focused on that Marvel DC serialized one after another. These things, then these little short stories become niche where they used to be the thing. I mean, this was in the 50s. This is what comic books were, or at least among the best ones. You had room for that kind of thing, and I love that they're coming back like this. They could. There's I think a third series coming from Oni as well.
I want to leave everyone the space to spit on the ground for Wortham. Right. Because Wortham killed DC. All right. I just want to go real quick. Gotham City Sirens. I took a flyer on that. Gotham City Sirens #1 from Leah Williams, Matteo Loli. It's Catwoman and Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy. And I was curious. They were riding a buffalo on the cover. So I thought, all right, check it out. It's a first issue, a story about, seems to be like, people are doing like live action sort of MMORPGs, like they're robot avatars. They're pretending to be cowboys. They're running cowboy buffalo through Gotham. They're chasing the cow. Like they're but they're causing havoc and problems. And so that seems to be the setup. It's obviously a lot darker than that because it's revealed at the end that the villain is Punchline, the character whose name I had to Google. I was like, all right, it's that person. What is that person's name? And I had to Google new Joker sidekick. And that's Punchline. But I enjoyed it. The art was strong. Leah Williams is a good writer. And I was worried because they're all the headliners, but there's some casual murder committed in the beginning by Poison Ivy. So I thought, okay, so they're not playing them as straight up good guys, which is good. But I enjoyed it. It was kind of silly. Doctor Strange 444. I wanted to mention because it's Jed McKay's last issue. I don't know what that means for the future of the book.
I mean,
but
they've definitely left it in a place where he should be a main player in regaining Sorcerer Supreme from Doctor Doom. So I doubt he goes away.
No, I don't think. I don't even know if the book goes away. I don't know. They usually end the book when the writer ends, but the point is he could stick around. I don't know how soon this Doctor Doom event's going to start happening. It could continue into that story instead of a book. I don't know. There could be a Doctor Doom, Doctor Strange 445 for all I know. I don't know, but McKay had a good long run on this title, which I quite enjoyed. This is also issue 18, depending on your religious beliefs. I thought this issue was good. I thought, Dormammu Mordo.
Yeah.
Was it Mordo?
Yeah, Mordo.
Showing up to finally to Stephen because he's no longer the Sorcerer Supreme.
A 3-page fight. You thought it was going to be the whole issue, and it was like, no, petered out. Oh, she's here? Well, I got to go.
And then, him getting the blue cloak of not being the Sorcerer Supreme, but still being a sorcerer. I thought it was a really good, solid wrap up to this run in which he's really made Clea a big part of the story.
Their relationship's been good for a while. I'd be worried if I was him.
Yeah. Correct. And so I've been enjoying this late stage Doctor Strange renaissance and series going back to what Mark Waid doing.
Yeah, we've had a damn fun Jason Aaron. I can't remember if Jason Aaron or Mark Waid came first, but Donny Cates did it for a little while. Like we've had a really strong, I want to say maybe 5 years of Doctor Strange, maybe more, give or take.
Right.
And that is, coming from the first, at least 10 years, if not more, of like really never having a strong Doctor Strange series. It's one of those things where the character appearing in the movies and being a major player actually led to a lot of comic books that were very much based on the comic books rather than the movie character. Like, Tony Stark is Robert Downey Jr. in most of the comics now. He's getting away from it, but either way, the Doctor Strange who has been appearing continuously since the Doctor Strange, character that was in the MCU is Doctor Strange from the comics. Different, there's takes on him or whatever, but it's not like Benedict Cumberbatch. Then again, I think the character in the movie is very, very true to the comic book, and that might be the thing too.
I agree. And the first half of our time doing iFanboy, the only thing I can think of Doctor Strange-wise is that one terrific Brian K. Vaughan miniseries. Mm-hmm. Like, he just was not someone who ever got a book in the early 2000s.
He was a character that creators all said, oh man, I'd love to write Doctor Strange. And then nobody could, because I guess he couldn't support a series.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, before we move on, I do need to get to the book that we skipped by accident. That was my fault. Absolute Power #2. That was supposed to be the second book.
You went past it. I thought maybe you did tell me to leave it off. Okay.
No, I skipped right to Public Domain because I had Public Domain open in front of me and I was looking at the colors and I just raring to go like a horse in the paddock and I just started going. This is terrific. I thought, again, much like Blood Hunt, what was that called? And this so far, I think this has been good. I think the stakes are high. I don't know how Amanda Waller comes back from this and becomes just like the kind of gray person on the side. I don't see how that's possible, but I like that that seems to be a little out for Green Arrow. Maybe he's undercover. I thought that was good. I thought
he's got to be undercover. Like, there's no way.
Nightwing rousing everyone with a stirring speech in Fortress of Solitude, and then they're like, he lays out the plan. We're going to do this. You're going to do this. You guys are going to do this. And I was like, they're going to do all those things. That's going to be the next issue. And then nope, that gets totally undermined. The next, like, they get attacked. Like, I thought that was a great setup where we think, first of all, it was a great speech, but he's laying out their plan. And you're like, great, I want to see this plan in action. I want to see these heroes do that. And then immediately they get attacked, and that plan goes awry. And they just look terrific. I thought the Dan Mora art was great, and the colors on this. Who's doing the colors? Alejandro Sanchez are just, I think, really great. I think they give Dan Mora's art a different, the colors. I think Alejandro Sanchez did all the colors in World's Finest too, but it's a different color style. It's not as flat and classic here. It's more modern. I think it really works with Dan's art.
It's fine. It's good. I mean, it's better than fine. It is what I expected to be, and it's good. There was a couple of really great moments. It's funny because Dick had the great speech or whatever, and just instantly took the air out of it. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it was great. Smart.
Yes, good plotting, but of course it's good plotting. It's good Mark Waid.
Yeah, I mean it's a little bummer only because similar to Blood Hunt, these events used to go on much longer, and now you get the sense these are like 4 to 5 issue things, so the plot has to move pretty quick. There's no more like 6 to 12 issue event stories. It's or 8 or whatever. I think Secret Invasion was 8, but everything moves pretty quickly, which is a good and bad thing. But I liked it a lot. So there you go. Those are the comics we want to talk about. But at patreon.com/iFanboy, every patron gets a vote to add a book to the rundown. This week, the winner was the Power Fantasy #1 from Image Comics. Kieran Gillen, Casper Weingard, and Clayton Cowles. And
I'm going to go on a limb. I think it's Weingard.
Weingard.
Just
it's a little more fun that way. There's 2 A's.
Weingard. But if you were saying it, I mean,
Weingard. It's probably one.
If you had the accent, it would sound fine, but you should just say it normally because otherwise.
Weingard.
Anyway, we're going to get in trouble.
Casper IKEA Furniture. So, the conceit of this book seems to be, and you tell me if you agreed from reading it, this is another in a long tradition of superhero beings in the quote-unquote real world, and in this world, superheroes or super beings anyway are treated more like nuclear weapons than anything else, and so it's a lot of nuclear proliferation or disarmament metaphors happening here. Is that what you took from this?
I mean, yeah, it's the gods walk among us, and I mean it's very Grant Morrison, Warren Ellis. There's another person who's sort of done these kind of stories. They know everything. Yeah,
a lot of people have Hickman. People.
Yeah. Yeah, it is that.
I didn't dislike this. I didn't think it was bad. I didn't love it. It's not really,
I would say it is fair to say that I did dislike it.
It's a lot of talking.
It's a lot of talking, and so much of that time talking was between. It was like a philosophical discussion between people who I don't know.
Which was what. Was Kieran Gillen did that in his X-Men book during the end of the Krakoa era, and it just drove me off.
Like if you flip through it, it's literally just people talking, and through that, I didn't get to know anybody. There's a bit where the two characters, like there was interesting things with Kieran Gillen and me. It always like he's really intelligent and he's a good writer, but his execution often leaves me cold. And I don't know if that's because it's bad or it's just not for me or whatever. But there's a bit here where these two characters are having slices of pizza together. And by the way, I'm going to give you like a 6 out of 10 for pizza, Casper.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. So it's not that bad.
Too small.
However, the pizza's too small. And I don't know. Look, I don't know. Maybe these are tourists, but
keep the plate.
They're going to hand you the pizza on a white paper.
And they have nice
plate.
Outfits.
And New Yorkers are going to hold that paper plate and the pizza at the same time because they know there's a lot of grease on that pizza and they don't want to drop that grease on their clothes. So
if you look at you
hold the pizza and the plate together.
Now she's super powered, but if you look at page 8, she's holding that one. It's just drooping down. You're going to lose that cheese and pepperoni.
That's gone. All that
if
is
the pizza's
gone.
Any good.
That pizza is on the ground.
That it is
that
good.
Is now rat food.
Yeah.
When he's holding it on page 6 on the bottom panel, in the same way, that pizza is also gone. Yeah. And that's just grease all over the place. That's why you got to keep it. You hold it in the plastic. Yeah. The paper plate is the grease catcher.
So back on. This is the most interesting thing about the book.
I'd rather talk about the
pizza,
pizza,
and that tells you everything you need to know. So these two characters are talking, and he's basically talking about, the overall big picture morality of taking care of humans or whether they're worth it or what, And she gets really angry and she's going to take him down because he seems that he's advocated like killing all the humans and starting over. But I went back and I read it several times and I was like, I don't see where he said that. It was way too up its ass. I really didn't like it. And I tried to because it is beautiful. The first couple pages, the character, really good. That girl is really interesting looking and in a different way than most comic book characters are. And they're in the 60s, so their outfits are interesting. And like all the way that they're standing around holding their pizza and the place, like it's all interesting. The coloring is really interesting. All that seems to be Caspar Weingart. The framing. But it's still just them walking around talking. I don't know who they are. Then we time jump, and I'm like, wait, so is this the same guy? Because I don't think it is, unless it is. Maybe it is. Like it's just like, and then he's doing an interview with a journalist, and I'm not saying that all comic books need to have some action in them, but you're asking a lot of a reader to come in here and have like these characters you don't. Not that we don't know, but don't know anything about because there's no context clues, really. They're just people who are almost academically arguing points. It doesn't really have anything to do with their personalities. It wasn't enough.
We joked that it's all talking, and all talking can be great when what's being said is really interesting, or snappy, or fun. This was the same kind of leaden philosophical discussions that for me dragged down the X-Men books. And so, the art's really good. I'm looking at the page where in page 618 where she's flashing her multicolored fingernails. There's a nice little drag on the colors that makes it look like movement. Like there's a lot of good stuff going on with the art. Like I said, the stuff in the 60s is great. And again, we could talk about the pizza all day long, but I don't really remember anything about the conversations because they were just like, I'm just looking, there's so many dialogue balloons and there's so many words in those dialogue balloons.
I read it.
And like I read every bit of it. I read every word.
Gloss over. Like I was trying to figure it out because Karen Gillan's really intelligent and there's stuff in this where I just don't think it worked. And I don't know, like if you're going to, I don't know that I need superheroes to have these conversations anymore. I've seen it. It's been done. I don't think that, make a book about the other thing. If you do what Alan Moore did. I mean, that's like he's like, I'm not doing superheroes anymore. I want to talk about all these thoughts I have, but I'm done doing it in that format.
Right. And this sort of started in the early 2000s when they were trying to separate themselves, elevate comics, the writers back then. And it's been a long time. We don't need to, it's been 24 years and now, we elevated it. It's fine. You can let superheroes be superheroes and not just a mouthpiece for political or philosophical discussion.
And I feel like,
which can be good. But again, the story has to be compelling.
I feel like you can bake that into stuff for sure. But there has to be that's what I mean. A story. And if there is a story here, you didn't get to it soon enough. I think that and again, this is to say we talk about this is all cold open. But it wasn't even a hook of a cold open. It was like,
I don't know what the stakes are. I don't know what this guy's goals are. The guy with the crazy dumb outfit on the last page. I don't know what his
just at the point where
his goals
just
are.
At the point where we were starting to understand who a couple of them were. They just introduced to a bunch of other characters. Like, well, who the fuck are these people? You've introduced more people I don't have a connection to, and it's hard. I'm not saying it's not. It's just that I feel like this was too ambitious by two, and I don't know if it had, but I felt this way about a lot of Kieran Gillen's comics. I just think it's not for me. Occasionally he's done stuff that I've liked. It is not a case of, oh, this guy's terrible. I don't know who it's for, but it isn't for me.
Right.
Gorgeous.
Which is unfortunate because the art's gorgeous.
It's one of the most beautiful books I've seen, in the last few months. Really great, they got great people.
So are you going to stick with it? All right. I don't know.
I've done that. I've danced. I've
like
danced that dance.
It is a cold open. It's a cold open. I know. It's a cold open. So I don't know. It's going to depend on the week that number 2 comes out. If it's a big week where I've got 20 books, probably not. But if it's another small week, maybe.
I mean, like if you told me, hey, I read it, it wasn't bad, I'd be like, okay. but
What's your rating on it?
2.5.
I was going to say 2.75.
Sounds about right.
All right. Patreon.com/iFanboy. Thanks, patrons, for voting. Add the book to the rundown. We always appreciate your participation in making the show better and more fun. And real quick, because we are long, how do you help support the show? Patreon.com/iFanboy, iFanboy.threadless.com, iFanboy.com/support, iFanboy.com/Amazon, and our bookshop.org links. All those are the ways we help keep the lights on, keep the show going, keep the bills paid. Thank you to everyone who does so. And now we move on to the patron power. And that's where a patron...
I have your name here, but I don't believe that I've done it in a while.
No, this is yours, and that's the guy who did last time.
Oh, yeah, I didn't do that.
The patron power. If you give it the $5 or higher level at patreon.com/iFanboy, you get a superpower live on the show. This week's patron is at wormhearts.
At wormhearts.
At wormhearts. WORMHEARTS. At wormhearts. The at symbol in the front.
Wormhearts.
At wormhearts is the patron this week.
Can remove extraneous sound from the environment that you're in. Say that you're in a little bar and you want to talk to people, you can't hear them. If you're around him, there's no problem hearing. You're good. Out on the street, you're at a concert, it doesn't disturb other people, it doesn't remove it. But if they're focused on at wormhearts, then you can hear each other perfectly.
It's like in that movie where it goes whoop when the sound disappears. And you can,
but in a pleasant way.
That's real good.
Or like say that, you know where this is great? You're at the movies. You want to say something, but you think, you know what? It's not a good... Well, what I think is it's not a good time to say it, so I'll just sit on it. And what everybody else says is, hey, it's that guy from that show. Which one? And then they do that, but I'm sorry. I know.
There's been quite a bit of shushing at the movies lately around here, which we are not afraid to do. This is the power given out by a man in his 40s.
I was at a loud concert last night.
I was going to say, this concert's too loud, this bar's too loud.
It wasn't that it was...
It's all too loud.
It was too loud. It's that my son has a very small voice and he refuses to raise it. And so I can't ever hear him when he talks to me. And he'll turn his head halfway through.
He sounds like everyone under the age of 20. All right. Wormhearts. At Wormhearts. Thank you for being a patron. Patreon.com/iFanboy. Do you want to do one email?
Yes. Kane.
You pick.
Kane. Maybe shaky, maybe not.
Kane
says you've been put in charge of Marvel and DC publishing, and you have to pick a set number of issues per arc for all stories going forward. How many are you picking, and why? Will everything be one and done? 12-issue epics? Personally, I've been really enjoying 3-issue arcs lately.
Not
so here's the question. My answer is you do exactly the thing that is appropriate for the story that you have, but you do allow for people to write stories of different lengths. You know,
that's my whole point. I'm breaking his rule. I'm not setting a number. I'm saying whatever you want to do. If you want to do one issue, do 3, do 5, do 12. If you want to do a 24-issue story, as long as it's good and you've got a good plan for it,
do the
do whatever. If you want to do a continuous Marvel 80s style, continuous ABC plot line, weaving plot line arc, do it that way. But I'm not going to... I think part of the problem in superhero comics that we've had is that the issues are set. It was 6 and now it's 5. You know, it's all 5-issue arcs now because of they've shrunk the trades by an issue. But making everyone work in those 5-issue or 6-issue arcs was really sort of detrimental to superhero comics on the whole, I think. And allowing the freedom to do whatever you want would make for better stories. Now, would it make for better business?
I will tell you that a 12-issue arc better be fucking good, because in most...
and that's what we knew back then, right? We knew if it was a 12-issue arc, it was a big deal.
Because what we'll see is when it isn't, issues 7, 8, 9, and 10 are going to be a waste of your time.
But also, when we were under that rigid 6-issue arc system, and before everything went, bi-weekly for a while, if you didn't like the arc, you were stuck for half the year in that arc. So if there was a Batman arc in 2012 that I wasn't enjoying, I had to live with that until July. And then I'd get a new story. And in the past, it's like, oh, I didn't like that issue. Next issue is going to be different. Well, maybe I'll like that one. But if you, it's a great way to jump off a book.
Yeah.
Is if you're in the middle of a 6-issue arc and you don't like it, and you're staring down the barrel of 4 more issues.
He did mention
it's a great reason to reevaluate.
And
what
in
you're
in this model, then we have to ignore the realities of publishing today, and I recognize that.
Sure,
but
yeah,
he said he's been really enjoying. I said he. I don't know. He really enjoying.
Yeah, I know. Kane is a regular on our Discord. He's a patron,
enjoying 3-issue arcs, and
yep.
3-issue arcs are great. You know what's great? 2-issue arcs. Oh, I'm not kidding.
Better.
Like we don't.
You know, it's even better. A one and done.
Occasionally, but like hit some. There's never 2s. There's rarely 3s. But a 2-issue, like open us up to something cool. Then the next one comes around, and then we close the story off there. Like that's how TV did it.
Yep.
TV would do a 2-parter. We don't ever do 2-parters.
If you take that to its logical conclusion, the best story is the 8-pager from EC Comics. Take it to its logical conclusion.
There's no. You have to really, I mean, like a lot of people, you know, it's a known thing that telling a story is so much about cutting all the things out. And so you have what's left. Yep. And in comics, so often they do not have to do that. And it creates some bad habits, I'll say.
I mean, I think you're absolutely right. The 2-issue arc is terrific. I mean, 3, they're all of the different styles are great. We've just been so stuck in that one style for so long that people, I think, either have forgotten, maybe they haven't even read them because maybe they came in comics in the 2000s where it's been 6-issue arcs since then.
And that can be great.
There was something so great about it. You know, when I look through my old back issues and I look at covers, it's usually I remember the single issue stories that had a lot of impact.
I think
you know,
if I go to the Preacher books, a lot of the trades, there's 9 trades. A lot of the arcs, sometimes there's 2 arcs in a given trade, so there'll be a 3 or a 4-issue story, and then like another, you know, there's some 2-issue story. Like they didn't worry about it. Like they put out this is the kind of book that created the trade market, and it didn't follow those rules. Right. It was an overarching single story, but you know, there's no reason that you can't. I mean, if you're doing trades in volumes, 2 stories in there, who cares?
Right. I've got plenty of collections from books in the 80s and 90s that are like that. It doesn't seem to hurt them any.
It's how Dad did it.
I get it. It's harder to sell a book where it's like, this is a complete story. It's about Batman's world being rocked. You can sell that much easier than here's a collection of, here's like 3 different Batman stories. There's 2 really great ones in there. And one's pretty good, but you know, this one's about his world being rocked, and it's just one complete story. That's easier to sell that one than the first one.
I mean, it just.
So I get it. But I'm a reader. Right. I'm not in charge. Even in this, as a reader, I want all the different possibilities available to me. And I want the creators to be able to tell whatever story they want in whatever length they think is best, along with their editor and everybody. But I mean, if I'm put in charge, again, every time someone says that, my standard line is always the case. I will run that company to the ground because I will do what I want to see, and it'll look very much like the Bronze Age. And no one will buy it but me and 12 other dudes.
Oh my God.
And I'll be a deadline headline. Connor Kilpatrick fired from DC Comics.
I would just have I would do war books. I would have a war department. I would have a war department, and it would just be like, Garth Ennis, you're in charge of this. Now that doesn't mean you have to do everything, but you can appoint whatever, and you can have full veto power. And if that's okay, I'll publish it. Then I'm gonna have, I'll just have artists like, what is it that you would like to do? Either whatever writer you want, that's fine. But I want to see, just like Greg Smallwood, what would you like? Go for it. You know, that's all.
Well, I mean, you know, the thing is, you joke, but that's kind of what Marvel Knights was, and look how well that worked out.
Save the company.
Right. Because when you allow really talented people to do what they're excited about, they tend to make really good work. Not all the time. Not every Marvel Knights book was successful or great. But
I'll tell you what we wouldn't do. There'd be no horror books at my publishing company. Not a single one.
You bring me a horror pitch.
Like if you bring me a supernatural twist or whatever, like you better nail that pitch because it's very likely not going to get over the door.
I'm sorry. Are you pitching me the Punisher as a fucking angel? Get the fuck out of my office.
If I catch you turning back, swear to God.
Who let you in
here? I would
do
a historical series. Like true stories of the Old West.
We're going to do 12 issues on George Washington.
I'm telling you. And make it figure it out. There's a lot of issues with him. You can work with those. That's fine. But I want to know what happened.
Run these companies into the ground.
Like you could invest $12 million in my company. I would be out of money by May. What do you mean you bought all the original art? Man. I bought all the original art to everybody that made it. I paid them their page rate, and then I gave them $700 a page after that, just for the paper. Yeah, it has to be paper.
I get it. No, you can do both. I'm
just going to say that's going to be my rule, and you would have to apply for a dispensation not to do it, unless.
Wait, you would stop doing digital books? You wouldn't?
No, I meant the art. The art has to be done on paper.
Oh shit. Oh wow.
I mean, this kind of true, but kind of not, because if Mitch Gerrits wanted to do a book, I'd be like, whatever you want, do whatever you want. I don't care.
Wow, you're getting more like a despot.
I know. I want to do. We're talking about running the company in the ground, right?
Well, I'm not saying I'd try. I'm just saying that's what would happen.
Pasted up hand lettering. SFX on the
all
board.
For it.
Here.
I already said I would.
Inkers. I
already said it would look like the Bronze Age, so I'm fine with it.
I'm doing. What was the Epic? Was that the division of Marvel that did this comics in the 70s? Yeah. That plus Vertigo, plus early or mid 2000s Image. Yeah. Whew. This is Howard Chaykin.
All right.
Whatever he asks for, you give him. Do you even like the books? Doesn't matter. He should be doing them.
All right. Well, that was fun. I enjoyed
Kane,
that.
You set a thing off, though. Yeah.
Made me happy. Kane, you touch us in a place, in a good place.
Careful.
I had another line, but that went good dirty, and I decided not to.
The contact at iFanboy.com is how you would send us a question, as Kane did. You could also send them to the attention of the Media Splode shows, which are our non-comics podcasts that come out monthly.
Ooh, we just got a really good Media Splode email today.
And you would put Media Splode in the subject line to better route that to where you want to go. There's a folder, because I don't see them in the main inbox. So yeah, you put them.
Yeah, it's a folder.
Do you do that manually, or is there a rule? Oh, okay.
No, I do it manually. Because sometimes, like we had before, the email's not says Media Splode, it's not really from Media
Splode. Okay, so I'll do this part and tell me if I'm wrong. A couple of weeks ago, there was the Talksplode with James Robinson, longtime fans of his work as a comic book writer. Last week, or it was, I don't know exactly when you put it out. You got
2 weeks
ago. Was 2 weeks ago.
Oh no! Well, it was last week.
Deadpool and Wolverine, a show with yourself and Paul Montgomery. I still haven't. No, I haven't had a chance. This just now, as you read this, I think the Thursday prior, the Justice League Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 3 animated movie discussion took place.
Yep.
Way to get that out.
Correct.
Very soon.
Right behind the show.
Very soon. Yep. But that's up to Connor. There will be a book splode on the first volume of the Lone Wolf and Cub Omnibus.
Well, you did skip one. This coming week is Media Splode, which we've already recorded, so it's definitely coming out. That one we talked about House of the Dragon season 2. We talked about the first half of The Bear season 3, because we're all watching it weekly, so we've only watched the first half. And we also ended up doing a much more in-depth review than intended of Twisters. So it's House of the Dragon, The Bear season 3 part 1, and Twisters comes out this coming week. And then on the 29th, in 2 weeks, comes the Booksplode Lone Wolf and Club Omnibus Volume 1. So
I'm like a reverse Ron Burgundy. If it is not on the paper in front of me, I don't remember it exists. That's very fair.
We recorded the show early. We normally record the media split right before it comes out, but we had a whole scheduling thing.
I'll keep going here. You can find our library of 1,388-ish shows over at...
No, I think it's 13 in the 90s now.
Really?
1390s.
Oh, because you just did like 4 of them.
Yeah, pretty sure.
I just add 1 to whatever it was last week, but I don't know if this was...
But you also have to add 1 to count the one we're on. That they're listening to.
But that would have been the one... So if 1387 was the number last week, then it would be 1388.
We're at 1394.
Jeez. Yeah, 1394. So are we going to have some sort of special anniversary for 1400? I mean,
triple
no, we're not. That's over at iFanboy.com, wherever you want to get podcasts is where you can find it. We're in all the great podcast platforms.
Those beautiful
you're
podcasts.
You're thinking like, I really like this. We're there. That is the kind of reach that our XML feed has. Is it still an XML feed? Is that still the basic
I don't know.
RSS?
Maybe. I mean, everything. This entire rickety enterprise is based on.
What's crazy is that we used to do that manually, and I don't know. I don't know how Connor and I got through it.
How did we not fuck that up?
Usually.
Yeah, but I remember that terrifying document. It's just this giant Word document. With
it wasn't a Word. It was a text document, and it got too big. It got so big. It was a text document that was so big it was too big. You know how long we've been doing this? We hand coded iFanboy for a really long time. Like, yeah,
everything was hand coded.
That's crazy. And then, like, way after everything else had switched, not doing it, then we got it. We're like, this is amazing.
People are automatically doing stuff we're still manually doing. Open A space href equals quotation. Oh, I missed something somewhere. Oh,
you can follow us at iFanboy Comics on Instagram to find out what the pick of the week is before the show comes out. Sometimes the best of the week in panel shows up there. You can follow us individually on Instagram at CSKillPatrick and J.A. Flanagan.
Style equals quote bold. Quote. Nightmares about that. Hey, YouTube. YouTube doesn't do it manually. They probably have everything automated over there at YouTube HQ. I bet. Unless there's one dude there manually coding all those videos, that'd be awesome. I don't know what's happening anymore. Subscribe to youtube.com/iFanboy. You'll find all of our old video shows and these shows.
I bet the guy that you pictured when you said there's a guy over there looked a lot like the guy I pictured.
We post this pick of the week show there every week. Not the special editions, just this one. Just this special one, just for you. Please consider writing a review or start writing other ones out there. It's a lot of work. Not a lot of work. It's not a lot of work. It's not a lot of work. It is some amount of work, though. It's the making of the video that is the slightly more annoying amount of work. And I don't know that it's worth.
It's a good answer as to why.
We'll see. What was I saying? Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to your podcast. If there's a mechanism for leaving a review or star rating, we would appreciate it if you did so. It helps people find podcasts. It helps the algorithms decide whatever the hell they're going to do before they decide to take over the world. And we thank you for listening. My name is Connor.
I am Josh. Thank you so much.